Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us here on this wonderful Wednesday edition of Talk Today. We get a chance to talk, not just 100 men, but through them, like 100,000 million input and impact that they have. But please join us, because as we continue our discussion, it gets better as the day goes on. When 2:30 and Susan takes me to lunch, even better then. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us, and we invite you to continue to do all that you're doing to make our society safer, stronger, healthier. Not just contributing to the social stability and harmony, but to making it, this wonderful place that we call home. And in the studio of these fine gents, don't mind me sharing. I had some interesting conversations. I mean, today is just 12:15 or thereabouts, and I already put in my half day, as it were. It's one of those days when you start early, you're excited, you get things going. To now come in your presence, to be reminded that individually we can do much, collectively we can do more. And what you represent, if you don't mind me saying, man, it truly is a testament to the caliber and the character of the people we have. So, Mike James, thank you for being the starburst that you are, man.
That's a beautiful introduction. Thank you.
It really is. It's all downhill from here.
It's going to get a lot worse now.
No, man.
Well,
no.
listen, you know what? It takes a village, right? And,
Yep.
and we're firm believers that collectively we can make a difference. And that's the whole premise behind the 100 Men That Care program. The ladies also have their version, 100 Women That Care. In fact, they had their event, their quarterly event, just a couple of nights ago. But that's what we're about. We're about collectively, we each pitch in just a little bit. And together we can make a big impact, positive impact.
And I want to highlight that, because I think that's something that we don't appreciate. We hear the saying, many hands make light work. You go back to the days, and I only helped once that I recall actually helping, not being in the way, not being as a little boy, being too concerned that your father would say, okay, stay there so you don't get hurt. Watching the men launch a boat, the bamboo rollers in there, they've got what I recall, ropes holding the boat, and they were doing this, and everybody had to do the part.
Ship launch day.
Yeah, you weren't, if you weren't helping, you were hindering. And if you were there as a bystander, stand sufficiently out of the way that you won't get hurt.
That's it.
All right? And it doesn't matter who you were, what size you were, you could help, if nothing else, than staying safely to the side.
Yeah.
Many hands make light work. If you would, though, could I ask, as we start our conversation getting into it, Mike, between you and James, just a quick introduction. As I said, it's not just 100 men. I think your impact is 100 billion. For when you think of the collective.
Billion's a big number, Sterling.
Well, not to the government. No, sorry.
No comment. No comment. I'm not saying anything.
Okay, no.
So I'm one of the founding members of this organization. In fact, we're a non-organization, and by that I mean that we don't have a secretary or a treasurer, and we don't have bank accounts. And the method behind that madness is that we don't have any expenses. So the whole idea is that any funds that we can assist in generating will go 100% to the charity. And further to that, it has to be a local charity. And further to that, it has to be a local charity that has been established and or registered in the Cayman Islands for a minimum of 1 year. So that's it. And just before I forget, because I thought it was beautiful how you said, if you don't help, you hinder. It's the same concept with us, right? I think we all have a moral obligation to participate in the community, and if you're not a part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
And you don't have the right to complain about any social issues if you don't, right?
And that's I mean you
I gotta get off my pedestal.
No, you stay on that pedestal because unlike me, you're taller. I need to be.
No, man, you think I'm tall?
And I think what Mike is always saying this is the 100 Men group might not be your thing, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying get out there and do something for the community.
Exactly.
Whether it's dog walking, whether it's showing up at the breast cancer gala event, whatever it is, there's lots of opportunity to participate, and we just think that there's a moral obligation to give back to this incredible life that this country has given us.
Yeah, it's a moral imperative. I had an earlier discussion before the earlier discussion, and the fact that we get to live, James, as you share, live in this place where there's great opportunity economically, sure, but more importantly, socially. The fact that we can live with a great degree of safety and comfort. You could go out before 4 o'clock in the morning, especially this time of year. The sun is just maybe an hour up before coming up. It's still dark, and you can exercise, you can walk the beach, you could run in your neighborhood. I don't mean this to be disparaging, other than the errant driver and that dog that could be unattended.
Mm-hmm.
There should be no other concerns to your safety. Those two things shouldn't even exist if we collectively do our parts, right? And we take that for granted.
We take it absolutely for granted.
People don't understand that. I mean, so much travel. We have to travel for some reasons, and we go to nice places. But as we leave in the hotel, the concierge or well, please stay in this area. Just
turns out they're not such nice places that we go on holiday to, right?
Right. I mean, that's the thing. But yet that should not be here. And those of us who live here call this home and make our bread and butter. Man, we work together. What a wonderful place.
Yep.
And
blessed.
I think
we are really, truly blessed. In fact, on that note, I've just started this. I've always thought myself as somebody that really does appreciate things, and if you know me, you would recognize that. Perhaps if you don't know me, you wouldn't. But I'm starting this gratitude journey. Right. So every day I start my day by saying 10 things that I'm grateful for.
Wow.
One was electricity because the power went out last night. And it reminded me how nice it is to have power. Man, oh gosh. It was rough. Just as I was going, it was hot. And I opened up the windows and I slept the first half of the night under the nice sound of the night air, and it was actually really nice.
Wow.
And so that was one of my things this morning was gratitude. But I'm going off topic here. What I'm trying to say is that we really are very, very lucky where we live, how we live, what we've got in Cayman. And if we can make a good thing better, because it is a very good thing that we've got here. Yeah, man. If we can participate in any way, shape, or form.
So, Mike, follow me. So, James, what are you thankful for?
I'm just thinking 10 things every day.
10 things.
You can't repeat?
There are a couple of repeats, but it's you have to change the reason and your purpose behind the gratitude.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but it's actually an enlightening way to start your day.
Yeah.
Electricity is a good one.
I don't think, respectfully, I don't think that you're off topic. I think that cements what I see in your efforts through the 100 Men, what we can do. Okay, you meet once a quarter, you give $100. That is a lot of money to a lot of people.
Yes,
and I fully understand
absolutely.
that. Even to anybody who will say, well, pick, maybe go back to Rockefeller, maybe you think just recently to Bill Gates or whoever, they have, they have billions and billions and billions. But $100 is still $100. Yes, there is a cost of whether you buy a candy, whether you throw it under the sofa, whether you give it to somebody, whether you buy a raffle. Right. There's still that money that is being expended on something. But it's what it can do and what it represents and what you guys, when you come together, the fellowship, the networking,
well, it's fun. It's
the jovial nature,
absolutely. And you connecting people and races and ages and socioeconomic levels and stuff. But even if you don't have that $100, and I don't mean to be pushing people away from 100 Men, but you've got time. Yeah. Walk a dog at Humane Society. Turn up on Earth Day and pick up some trash.
And giving back, in my opinion, giving back shouldn't be that easy. It should be difficult, I think. $100, $100 is a lot, and you do have to then sacrifice, and that's part of it as well. Yeah. So I'm sacrificing going out that night. I'm sacrificing going to watch the basketball game somewhere. Yeah. I'm going to stay in the night and watch it. So a part of this giving back to the community is sacrificing what you might normally do.
You appreciate it. You don't miss the fact that you have the convenience of the air conditioning. You want it at 70 or you keep it at 82, whatever it is. Right. The current goes off for whatever reason. Right? You then appreciate that thing. And I think that's one of the challenges that it came on. We don't get to appreciate we don't consciously make effort to appreciate all that we have here.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this, and hopefully, if it's a political statement, that we take it on board. Hopefully, if it's a slap on us or society, that we take it on board. Relatively, we still, remember it was no crime, low crime, relatively crime free. We keep moving there.
It's the safest in the region.
Yeah. Well, why can't it be, safe? Because there are some wonderful cities that there's an expectation. You're not going to, put your gum on the street. You're not going to throw your litter on the. You're going to do certain things because the society demands, expects that this is how you're going to behave. Whether the population is, 10 million in that city or otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyway. 100 men.
100 men.
You have to be commended.
We could talk all the whole day. It's a great topic. Absolutely.
So tell us about it. You had a wonderful session the last time.
So 100 men. This will be our 16th meeting. It's happening tomorrow night at the West Inn, who have been grateful again. We're very grateful for everything they're doing. Hosting the venue inside air conditioning. It's hot out there. But Cayman Distributor Group is giving us a
Maker's Mark.
They've
been fantastic. Every meeting they supply beverages of some sort, and sometimes giveaways. And I'm told there'll be giveaways again for this meeting.
A shaker or a cup or something.
Yeah, some sort of shaker.
Rubis also throws out a couple of $100 worth of free gas. There's random raffles.
Man Cave, typically we give away spa packages and haircuts, and
I could get my
they've been fantastic. Peripheral, all money raised by Peripheral at each meeting. Half of that money goes to 100 Men.
They're fantastic.
And directly to the charity. So they've been wonderful.
To date, we have raised 235,000 CI dollars. That's proper money. 235,000 CI dollars, 100% of which has gone to different charities. And I can read out, Meals on Wheels, Breast Cancer Foundation, Cayman Crisis Center. Come on, James.
Bridge Foundation,
Special
Hospice,
Needs.
Special Needs Foundation,
Special Needs, Humane Society.
All of the usual suspects.
Yeah.
And I say usual suspects; they're familiar names to us.
Yeah.
There are a couple of random ones that perhaps aren't as common, but I think the point is that the impact when we give a minimum of $10,000 when 100 guys turn up, that's $100 each. That's 10,000 CI dollars to one charity.
Then and there.
Then and there, in 1 hour.
1 hour.
They get, and the Have a Heart Foundation as well, we saved a child's life.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
We actually saved a child's life. They could afford this heart operation, and we participated in that, and that's the ultimate, right, is saving a child's life. But in any event, anything that we do to impact all these wonderful things that these different charities do, it's a pleasure, it's a privilege for us to participate in that.
And that's why I commend you for it, because I think it shows not only how immediate and positive something can be, but when people are sincerely committed to something. Think about it. I think, James, you shared it. There's a sacrifice, not only of the financial contribution, but your time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you may say it's an hour there, but there's coming and going. There are other things. And life needs to be, a perpetual reminder that if you want something, you got to be willing to sacrifice. You want to get in shape, well, you exercise, eat. You got to do certain things.
Got to put the work in.
Yeah. How can we expect a benefit without some sort of corresponding contribution?
That's it.
And we understand that our members are busy, but this is geared towards them. This is as efficient as I think it can be made. So we meet 4 hours of the year. For $400, and when I think we all agree that $100 is a substantial amount of money, but if you're going to make a huge impact and it only takes you 4 hours for the entire year, I think that's worth looking into, and I think that we have to take that time. And
the efficiency of men, 1 hour.
we can be really, really efficient if we concentrate really hard.
We got to pay for that later, right?
Yeah, but it's not natural for men to be organized and but I actually I think I'm a very organized person.
You're the only one in the group. That's why we keep you around.
Yeah, thanks.
He's the organizer.
No, I'm not. We share this burden together. We share this burden together. It's our co-founding member, Adam Lambert, not the singer, but should be as famous, is just amazing in what he does.
Yes, he is.
A quick shout out. I don't think he can sing. Can he sing? I'll Adam, he can't.
I've heard him attempt.
But you know what? It's a collective effort. It is a collective effort. It's not just us three that I'm mentioning. There's probably a group of maybe 12, 15 guys that just before every meeting we sort of band together. And we make a collective effort to pick up chairs and move tables and register people and
like the boat launching, everybody knows their role.
Yeah.
You know, so take it full circle. We meet. We don't even meet anymore, really. It's all done via WhatsApp and emails, and it's okay, guys. It's time to it's time for another meeting, and everybody knows their role, and they just do it.
Yeah.
And it's gotten to the point where we don't have to talk too much about it anymore, and everyone just does what they're supposed to do.
Consistency and that staying power, I think, is something that is sort of lacking in societies. We'll do something for a time, but we don't consistently do it. So
it's tough. It's tough, I have to say. Sometimes it's tough. This is our 16th meeting, and it's difficult sometimes to keep that same energy and share and impart that energy behind it. Trying to generate more people to join us is not that easy, and we've had some natural attrition. People kind of get bored of it. It is what it is. But we're standing the test of time. We're going to continue doing this. We're not going anywhere, and our dream and hope is that we can get the entire male population of the Cayman Islands between the ages of whatever and whatever. Anyway, as long as you're male, come along.
Now, for tomorrow, it's at the West End. For those, for those who have, and normally would expect to turn up, but for those who may want to come for the first time or haven't been in a while, can they come along?
Absolutely.
All right, so tell us how we do it.
Yeah. The event starts at the meeting is from 7 till 8, but registration starts at 6 o'clock. So if you haven't been there before or haven't been in a while, I was speaking to a couple of guys recently that said they missed a couple meetings and they didn't want to come to the next one because they thought they owed all that money that they had missed, and that's just not true. Bring $100. It's okay if you've missed some meetings. That's fine. You don't owe anything. Just come to the next meeting with $100. But 6 o'clock registration starts. That's when have a couple drinks. A lot of networking at the back. You meet a lot of people with like-minded interests. Meeting starts promptly at 7 o'clock, and we'll be over by 8 o'clock. I think we've only had one meeting go 1 minute over, and that's the one that I was co-hosting.
Why this is important to James is because he's a big fan of the Raptors, and the tip-off for the game tonight is at 8:20. He made that very clear earlier on.
So the Warriors will probably win again tonight?
Ooh. It's terrible. What side are you on? I'm right in the middle of you two. No. So I think the point is that even though there is a major sporting event this evening,
tomorrow,
that it's okay. You can still participate in your community.
Yeah. I'm the biggest not the biggest, but I'm a big Raptors fan, and I'm gonna be there at tip off. So, our meeting will wrap at 8 o'clock.
You're not gonna help clean up afterwards?
No, not
Did you just hear him say he's gonna?
We might tackle him and just one more table.
Hold me down. Yeah.
But no, it's a lovely friendship, and I love the cross community relations that come from it.
Well, gents, it's a pleasure. Not only this sacrifice coming out and getting the word out, but as you share, James, reminding the men who 18 and above who, if they haven't been in a while, they don't win back taxes. It's kind of like the government's amnesty for you.
Yeah, there's an amnesty. You don't have to.
You pay for tomorrow night.
One time, $100,
and then continue onwards.
And enjoy the gift of giving. It's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
Well, gents, thanks so much, man.
Tomorrow, you so much, Sterling,
6 o'clock, Weston. Please come. If you haven't been, we'd love to have you. If you haven't been in a while, we'd love to see you again.
Bring a friend.
Yeah, bring a friend.
Yeah,
and if you can't make it, give your money to a buddy that's going. We try to do the buddy system. So give your money to someone that is going, and make sure that it gets counted and your name gets counted. But thank you so much for having us again. We appreciate this every time.
And thank you all for coming over. Appreciate it. And as we look at it, it's about our community. So
good,
James. Mike. Thanks very, very much, man. 100 men tomorrow evening at the West End, 6 o'clock.
Beautiful.
And be home in time and watch
the game.
Don't say it. Don't.
All right. Susan, time to behave. All right.
Thank you.
When we come back, please rejoin us for more talk today.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes. Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Always ensure that food preparation utensils are washed with a strong detergent and rinsed in hot water in the event that they have made contact with flood water. Boil silverware for 10 minutes and immerse glass, porcelain, china, and plastic items in a solution of hot water and 10% chlorine bleach before use. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. And a special thanks to Miss Susan for not only doing what she does behind the scenes, but for allowing me to, publicly kind of harass her for a little bit. Maybe that's not the word, but I have some fun at her expense. And boy, she's so gracious. And part of the reason why the job is so much better, because you can enjoy it. In the studio, I am really, really honored to sit here every day to not only learn as I go along from the wonderful people to share, to help them to convey the messages. And now I'm honored to be joined by good friends from the Cancer Society. And I think, Miss Catherine, it's a pleasure to have you back. I know Miss Victoria was coming, but thank you for joining us.
No problem. I'm happy to be here.
All right. And Dr. Benoit, thank you, Mom. You're amazing, man.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, man. And there's something that I'm being increasingly becoming aware of. As you walk through the doors, welcome you to Radio Cayman, as you come down the steps to the studio, there's this wonderful, welcoming spirit of not just camaraderie and sort of love, but man, it just makes you feel good, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Well, it's partly because I think the team here really try hard to make sure that everybody feel that Radio Cayman love, but it's because of our guests. Yeah. The things that you represent, the things that you do, and the importance of us being able to share a message, with our listeners. And when we look at organizations like the Cancer Society, the survivors or the thrivers, it is important to appreciate what that can mean for us, because it can be a very daunting road to walk, and you may feel as if you're on your own. Mm-hmm. But thankfully, Dr. Benoit, as the medical oncologist over at Health Today, it is one that we don't have to walk alone.
That's right. Yeah, it's a diagnosis of cancer is the most toughest phase of life that anyone can go through, and it's not just the patient but also the family, close friends, and everybody. So, and it's a journey. Quite often, it's a journey. Which may be finite or it might be a long time. So it's very difficult to maintain that, the positive thoughts and feelings that we have, to maintain it throughout. It's very difficult. And that's why survivorship is very important, because it's a team process to ensure survivorship. So nobody can fight or battle this disease alone and come out, thrive. Yeah. So we prefer to use a term thriver. You mentioned that word thriver. Yeah. So survivorship is just about surviving, is just about, it sounds like scraping through, but thriving is like flourishing.
Yes. I like how you said that. And I have a very good friend. I have, the honor earlier to sit with him, and as we broke bread, the notion that we forget the importance of fellowship. We've not only sometimes downplayed the importance of the psychological impact. You're a football player, you had a good game, even if you won and you were on that adrenaline sort of rush. but you took an injury and you're going to miss the next game or the game after that. That in itself could be heartbreaking for you. It could make you feel as if, well, what if I'm not able now to be there for my team? Right? So you imagine the person who has a diagnosis, and no matter all that, the treatment is available, this is the prognosis. What if that person is surrounded by people who genuinely make them feel loved?
Yes.
The best staff, the smiling environment. I mean, it translates into a person being able to thrive.
Yeah,
and
right.
This is how we do.
Yes.
Right, Ms. Kathleen?
Yes, that's why we try to facilitate. We try to be there and help those people that need it.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Benoit, from that perspective, though, and we'll talk about the purpose of it, but I think sometimes in our society, specifically here, we're impacted by so much. We perhaps maybe we feel that we deserve the very best medical, latest technologies and the like. And then there are those of us who, either because of our new acquaintances or even because of our ancestral links, remember that family, that if you allow me, I'll use the word sort of spiritual, compassionate nature that we have. We can draw on that, and that can aid in, if not a recovery, at least in us being able to sustain the moment. In our society, are we at a crossroads, you think, or are we starting to appreciate that the two can coexist?
No, definitely, because this Cayman is a wonderful, being a small island, a small society, but a very welcoming society with all kinds of cultures and various people here. I mean, I find the people are very warm. They're very spiritual. They keep their family and friends and their faith close to them, and that's that gives them a lot of strength. So this is what I found about my patients who are Caymanians, and in this process, they also transfer the same positive energy to their fellow citizens, whether they're expats or and the church, I find, is a very important place, a very big pillar of support for my patients. And quite a lot of time, even when they are, feeling very low, my patients do talk to me about keeping faith. If they find me upset about a test result or something, they say, God is great. So, and I sometimes get inspiration from them, which is very, very, overwhelming for me sometimes, and very, very heartening.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that, because I think, and as we look at our discussion, the importance of, why having, Catherine will get you to tell us more about it in a second, but why those gatherings are important. Dr. Benoit, you shared. I can imagine someone like you and your colleagues who are compassionate, who are so concerned and committed to the patient care and want to see the successful outcomes. Your experience, your expertise will tell you this is it. And if the patient can encourage you, wow, look at the better treatment outcome for the patient. So it is a perpetual circle almost, huh?
Yeah, it's very positive, actually.
Positive.
Yeah.
I love that one. That's why I like chocolate. It's positive. For the public, though, the thrivers, well, not survivors, but thrivers. Tell us about it.
So the annual dinner that we have at the Marriott, it's to celebrate survivors, or we like to call them thrivers, because like Dr. Vanitha said, thrivers are those that flourish, and like a cancer survivor is considered someone who, from diagnosis of cancer, that you're already considered a survivor. And so, because, it's very difficult to live through any of that cancer journey up until remission or, however the person comes through at the end. But it's very important for us to celebrate them, because you wouldn't know that process unless you've been through it. And it's very important for us to celebrate and get together with all the survivors. A lot of them are friends. A lot of them have created bonds with each other because of this. They going through the same thing. And so it's very important for them to see each other once a year, see, oh, you're doing so well. Nice to catch up with everyone. And during the evening as well, we also ask survivors who have been from diagnosis to 5 years to please stand. And you see a lot of people stand around the room. room. And then for those who have been survivors for 10 years or 15 years. And it's very inspiring for those newly diagnosed people to see that as well, to see that life doesn't end in a cancer diagnosis. There is life after that. And, sometimes we have a survivor who's 45-year survivor. And that's super inspiring to all of them, because it's important to know that, I can be that person too.
Yeah. Gives them hope.
Yes.
And we need hope. We always need something to, people don't appreciate it, that when you feel a sense of hopelessness and despair, even that word that you say to someone could mean the difference between them being encouraged and them being become so despondent. And I think, Dr. Benoit, from what you shared, that faith that we hold on to, we impart either as the medical provider or we receive because the patient has that faith that is supported and nurtured by the surrounding family and friends, that environment. We walk many times and people don't know the burden that we carry. They see the smile and they don't, they know it's not false, but they don't know that beyond that smile, you're speaking into being, you're calling those things that aren't as if they were, because you have hope.
Definitely. A lot of people think cancer is a death sentence, and of course there are phases when you have an initial diagnosis, you have somebody break the bad news to you. They do feel despair, they do feel anger, a lot of emotions, but eventually they settle down. And they need to see the hope in the faces of their doctor and medical team, first of all, and then, their family. And it's a process, it's a long journey, and, a lot of supportive, everybody is very important in this, they have important roles in this process to help the patient be a thriver.
Yeah, man. And the impact goes beyond, I think, if people are not listening attentive, if they heard at least one thing, goes beyond the patient and the physician, because those two are affected. We ignore sometimes the impact on the physician. And I hope you don't mind, but you, Dr. Benoit, epitomize that compassion. And so many of your colleagues, I see that up there so often, that it's important. And increasingly, that medical provider who is now being allowed, I think, to show that I'm human. There's no... We see publicly the thing that we know transpire privately because they're human. That love and that concern and like, man, when I can find this thing for this patient, because I just want to see them thrive. Your gathering of fellowship, as the Cancer Society puts it together, allows the cancer patients to see the hope.
Yes, and they also love to talk about Dr. Vinitha and how compassionate and caring and down to earth she is. That's very important to them because, a lot of people don't have as much family members here on island. Like, we do help people who are not from here, and so if they don't have any family or friends, it's nice to know that they come into the Cancer Society and see some happy people, or their doctors and their medical team are some happy, compassionate people. That's very important to them. That can make the world of a difference through this whole cancer journey for them.
It does, man. Now, for the evening, the dinner, invitation only?
Yeah, well, so yes, we have invitations. So unfortunately, they were a little late this year. Something happened with the shipping and customs, and they were held back. And so we have been calling all of our survivors, but we encourage those who have not received any calls, anything in the mail, to call us, reach out to us, or come by the office, pick up invitations. It is for cancer survivors and one guest each. And so we encourage people to do that, or they can just call us to RSVP, as we will be giving out the information on air. So that, but we would love it for everyone to check these invitations out, because they're all things Cayman theme, and so it's spelled out in Caymanian accent. So it's very. We would love for everyone to keep that as a keepsake, if anything. Yes,
and that's important, I think, to be not only reflective and represent, but to be respectful of our culture, and for the those who attend to appreciate that. Maybe I'm one of the few who don't necessarily like to get all put together with
you gonna say dressed up?
Dressed up.
Actually, on the invitation it says come dressed in your pretty frocks and trousers. So we encourage people to come however they feel comfortable, because we don't want anybody missing out. But put on your pretty trousers now.
What's the phrase, Susan? Dotted up. Dotted up instead of 99s, no man. Or dotted up or something. I try to remember it. All right, she reminds us, again, she's gracious, but she's also in charge. So when I forget that, she reminds me. We have a quick little break to take when we come back to talk more. I'm really, really enjoying the chance to do the fellowship with you. So when we come back, more talk today. 1 o'clock right after the news headlines. Get a chance to speak to our friends from DCFS. We introduce to you formally the new Deputy Director. So together with the Director, we get a chance to chat with you. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
It's time to stop giving dads tools and ties for Father's Day. Dads want to relax just as much as you. Get the ultimate chillaxing beach kit for Father's Day at Savannah Pharmacy. Beach shorts, shirts, flip-flops, water shoes, goggles, towels, and sunblock. Let Dad kick back and relax this Father's Day. Gift baskets, including domino sets, coffee mugs, and so much more, are also available. Get all of your Father's Day purchases at Savannah Pharmacy and Countryside Shopping Village, or call 946-3336.
I love my daddy, yes sirree.
King Sports Center Art of Fun Summer Camp is back from July 2nd to August 2nd. Now in its 15th year, the Art of Fun Camp is ideal for kids ages 5 through 10 with activities from football, basketball, dodgeball, squash, rock climbing, arts and craft, dance, singing, and more. Your child can practice physical and social skills while having fun in a safe and secure environment. For more info, call 946-KING. Like King's Sports Center on Facebook, and you can also find them on Instagram or call 946-5464. King Sports Center, providing you with all your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs. Register before May 31st and save 10% on camp registration.
Tune in to Radio Cayman every morning at 7:20 a.m. for your daily weather update. Proudly brought to you by Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. With over 47 years of experience, they'll get the job done for you on time. Free estimate. Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. Call them at 949-4709 for a free estimate.
Wouldn't it be nice to spend quality time shopping, eating, and socializing with friends and family in Georgetown? The Cruise Birthing Facility will stimulate the revitalization of our capital city, turning this vision into reality.
Looking forward, looking bright.
Learn more and spread the word.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Remember to discard all fresh fruits and vegetables, meats, all foods in canisters, dented, leaking or rusting cans after they have come in contact with floodwater. Also discard foods that are stored in cardboard boxes, paper foil, cellophane, and cloth, as well as those in open containers and packages. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. And as we have the time to continue our discussion, I'm really grateful for the very positive, nurturing, and encouraging way that we can go about our society. I say this sincerely, recognizing that there's a lot of, unfortunately, bad and evil and pain and suffering and trial and tribulation and all other things, but man, there's some good stuff. And even better when we work together. So from the Cancer Society, Ms. Kathleen, thank you for sharing with us.
No problem. Happy to be here. Happy to share.
The consultant medical oncologist, Dr. Vinita Benoy. You know, I love when people have a sincere, genuine disposition and they want to make things better. Doesn't always mean it's going to be better, but the want is there. And economics, want is what drives, not the needs. You know, you want something, that's why you go to work in the morning. And I want that, whatever that thing is, right? Not because you need it. How many of us do the needs because it's the want that drives us, right? So when you want to do something, that's why you do it, right? Mm-hmm. And you guys at the Cancer Society want to make, you know, your clients, would that be the word? Feel loved and nurtured, feel appreciated, feel a sense of hope.
Yes, hope. It is part of our motto: awareness, support, and hope. Yeah. And I'd like to point out that we are one of the few, well, probably the only country in the Caribbean that has an organization like the Cancer Society. You know, a lot of cancer societies across the Caribbean don't offer the type of help that we offer. They offer, they may offer cancer screenings, cancer education, but when it comes to walking into an office and qualifying for a free cancer screening test, that doesn't happen around the Caribbean. Like the cancer societies around the Caribbean, they may offer like cheaper cancer screening testing, but the type of help that we are able to offer is also part of, we have to thank our donors for that, because, without the donations, we wouldn't be able to do the work that we do.
And apart from all this, I must, comment on their caring and compassionate team. And sometimes it's not just about the financial aspect. All they need is a patient ear. And a shoulder, and they provide that all the time. I'm really, thankful, and we are very happy at Health City. We are very happy to be, sponsoring this event for Cancer Society this year. It's a privilege and an honor.
I think that's where that partnership extends, and I think too often in our communities we take so much for granted. Earlier, I got a chance to speak both to Mike and to James from the 100 Men, and Mike shared he started this journey of gratitude. Many of us do it and don't do it consciously, and we don't share it publicly, but I'll commend him for saying that, because there's a lot to be grateful for. What I've found, just like it's hard sometimes, or harder for us to say complimentary nice things about people, as it is, forgive me, saying very quickly something demeaning, and even though we want to take it back. But when you consciously list the things that you're grateful for, sometimes you get to point one and you go, well, what's the second thing? Until you consciously, I can breathe, I'm not congested. Oh, I can walk. It's a little bit of a pain, limp, but I can walk. Or I have running water, or I have. You have all these things. But there are other things you're thankful for. What your parents, your children, your siblings, your friends, the job they have. Yeah, the boss may be not the best. Not my case, though, because, Susan is a good boss. Just but to be grateful, and I'm grateful for the corporate sponsorship, but also the professionalism. From that perspective, though, the wider community, what more can we do when it comes to helping our cancer patients, treatment, diagnosis, support? I don't know what lanyards.
Yeah, when you talk about, treatment, diagnosis, and support, we're forgetting one thing before that, prevention. That's, I think, something that we should focus on, because I think treatment-wise, we can do many things on island. Some things we have to go overseas. Of course, Health City plans to open a radiation center early next year, so that will be one of the other additional facility. But we always any disease, we always tend to keep the prevention part of it in the backseat. I think we have a lot of awareness programs, but we also need to have some sort of a demographic study for the population on island, a planned study to know what, whether, there's a perception that Cayman has a lot of cancer, more than, the neighboring Caribbean or even the States, but we don't know, we don't have any data, we don't have any statistics, accurate statistics. So we need to, and this population-based study would help us to understand, the actual prevalence of cancer, the causes of cancer, thereby help in more, prevention. And there are a lot of activities happening now, but I think we can do that demographic or epidemiological studies on the population.
Yeah, I think that's when statistics will become helpful.
Yes, and people are not aware that currently, as a country, we don't have a mandatory cancer registry. Our cancer registry is voluntary. So we do ask all cancer survivors, all people diagnosed with cancer, to register with the cancer registry, because it is very important for us to have those statistics so that we can provide that type of data.
Well, I think we're getting there. I think I say this carefully but consciously. We are, to an extent, through legislation imposed in first world sort of things that they've taken sometimes centuries to get to, and overnight we're expected. The recent law that we implemented relative to being able to say, at my imminent demise, I would like you to do this, not to do this. That's great legislation, but it's not something that is going to be quickly taken on board by the Caymanian population, as it may be taken up more by those who are more familiar with it. So the education has to be there so that people understand what it means. But again, sharing information, being supported and nurtured, being able to freely share confidentially, not just with your medical provider, but with other thrivers, that, hey, this walk isn't, you're not alone. You're not the first one to go down this road. Yes, it is important to you because it's you. Right? But that's why That makes it all the difference, right?
Yeah, the support groups are very important actually, and in the big countries they have support groups for each diagnosis where people can interact and share their common, most often common journeys. But here, at least through the Cancer Society, and they have the spiritual survivorship care too that they provided last year for groups of survivors and even for caregivers, which is a wonderful initiative. So many more initiative like that, and maybe a rehabilitation program for physical rehabilitation also, which is right now it's a bit patchy, but it's there definitely. But we can bring everything under one roof. That'll be wonderful.
Yes, that would be amazing.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we will.
It's like everything, when there's a want.
Yeah.
When they say when there's a way, there's a will. There's a
will. Yeah,
but
there's a way.
There has to be that want, and we've been wanting. I really appreciate you guys taking time, and for you for driving. I mean, all the way from.
I nearly fell asleep on the
wheel. Well, we should get your chauffeur. This is where I support. But thank you again, and may you guys continue to be guided and continue to see the success. It's not just the success that comes, but the people around you. So thanks very much. Right?
Thank you very much for having us.
Any final thoughts quickly?
I will say quickly that the Survivors Dinner is this Friday, June 14th at the Marriott Beach Resort. Registration starts at 5:30 p.m. and dinner starts at 6 p.m. And we're not talking about Cayman time, no. We're talking about 5:30 p.m.
The household I grew up in, Cayman time was, on time.
Well, true.
Yeah, so
but some people will show up at 6:30 and then wonder where everybody is.
5:30.
Yes,
all right.
5:30.
Friday?
Friday.
Get invitations. If you're not sure about it, call the Cancer Society.
Yes, our number is 949-7618.
All right. Well, if you need to call us to remind us, whatever we can do, let us know. Safe drive back to you. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
All the
best.
best.
Thank you very much.
And this is why I love this place. All right. Gonna pause and take a break. Our news team hard at work, so let's hear what they have in store for us. Then when we come back, Mr. Real Roberts, together with Miss Paulina Mendoza Williams, will join us. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Northside MLA Mr. Ezard Miller is calling on the government to remedy what he describes as, quote, serious mosquito infestation plaguing the district of Northside. Mr. Miller says the mosquitoes have not been this thick since the 1960s and wants government to immediately fund MRCU's purchase of the necessary chemicals in order to facilitate the resumption of aerial and good spraying this weekend. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, Hong Kong's chief executive, Carrie Lam, criticized protests against a proposed bill that would allow extradition to China, calling them organized riots. She said the clashes between protesters and police were unacceptable for any civilized societies. 72 people aged between 15 and 66 were injured in violence, including 2 men who were in critical condition. Hundreds of people have been detained at a Moscow rally demanding punishment for police who detained an anti-corruption journalist. Osaka clashed with protesters during the unauthorized march in support of Ivan Golunov. Among those detained at the rally were journalists and the Russian opposition leader. And Ford is recalling 1.2 million sport utility vehicles in the U.S. over suspension issues that the car giant said could affect steering. The recall, which is expected to cost $180 million, affects Ford Explorers made in the U.S. firm's Chicago plant between 2010 and 2017. Ford said one customer had reported hitting a curb when part of the rear suspension fractured. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
There are plenty of reasons to be a Logic customer. There's lightning-fast internet connectivity. There's the great overall customer experience. And now, you can improve your Wi-Fi connectivity with Logic Boost Wi-Fi for free. With Boost, you can extend your freedom to stream, game, and download seamlessly anywhere in your home, like your patio or your underground lair if you have one. Sign up now for any Logic Bundle package and get free Boost Wi-Fi for a limited time. Visit logic.ky for details.
The 18th Annual Talent Exposition of the Arts, Sunday, June 30th at the Hockwell Theatre, is brought to you by the New Self-Help Community Foundation. This event is proudly sponsored by Logic, Walkers, NCB Group, Thompson Shipping, Frank Hall Homes, Fashion Mart, Caymanian Times, Dr. Steve Tomlinson, A.L. Thompson's, Rich and Connolly, CUC, Cayman Islands National Credit Bureau, Burger King, Automotive Art, Brown's Esso, Fire Extinguisher Pros, and Radio Cayman. Prepaid tickets for the 2019 Talent Exposition of the Arts at the Hockwell Theatre are available at Funky Tanks and Winner Circle Sports for $10 or $15 at the gate.
Headlines. With the latest headlines. All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Turning to international news.
Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Traffic congestion is bad for your mental health, bad for your wallet, and bad for the environment. Did you know that Cayman's carbon emissions per capita are nearly 4 times that of Europe, according to worlddata.info? Empty car seats are a wasted resource and contribute to traffic congestion. Carpooling is socially and environmentally friendly and can save you up to $1,000 per year in fuel and upkeep. Visit the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure Facebook page for more tips on energy-efficient commuting and be an energy advocate.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us as we invite you to be part of our discussion now and the opportunity to speak to the Director at the Department of Children and Family Services, Ms. Paulinda Mendoza-Williams, together with the newly appointed Deputy Director, good friend here, Mr. Real Roberts. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks very much.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
You know, as I look at our community, and I'll ask you to guide me in a sense, but I look at us from the perspective that we have a very strong, robust government over the years that has invested heavily in our country. So every year, some of us more so than others will look at the annual, what used to be the annual budget process. That's not meant to be in it, but that's just habit. And we go through the budget and we watch when it was $1 million, then it was 10 million, then 100 million. We see the budget, $500 million plus. And then we see the investment in infrastructure, including the human infrastructure as well. And to know that we have a system like Department of Children and Family Services with the staff complement, but with the wide and varied responsibilities, I honestly, I don't know that we have enough to give you people other resources. What do you do? My goodness, Ms. Paulina. Better you than me.
Dwayne, thank you again for having us. This is an opportunity for us to hear from our newly appointed Deputy Director, Mr. Real Roberts. And, of course, it's one of the great assets that we've now achieved within the department to have Mr. Roberts and his skills coming in. Again, you're speaking about budgeting and human resources. I think from the point of view from senior management perspective at the department, just looking at what Real brings to the table, his experience, his qualification. For those that may not know, he is a qualified social worker, and I won't tell too much tales on him at this point in time, and I'll allow him to share some of his experiences and how it has propelled him into the post of Deputy Director. But just to say that our senior management team has now come full complement by him joining us, and we're looking forward to working very closely together to be able to utilize those resources that government has provided with us in the department to be able to service the community and make a difference in the lives of the people that we serve. So at this time, I would just turn the mic over to Real for him to just share about his experience thus far. May the 15th will be a full month that he has been in the chair, and hopefully, this will be one of those opportunities that he will be able to give back to the community and definitely move the department in the direction that I've shared with him as a vision and goals for us.
Well, Mr. Roberts, a dating relationship is happy month anniversary. Apparently that's a thing these days.
Thank you.
No, but honestly, good afternoon. And I think, as Ms. Paulina shared, that complement, that notion of being able to bring strength, not just the skill sets, but life experiences, to empower, to improve our communities, to be able to be responsive. So we're excited to hear from you, to hear some of that vision that Ms. Paulina communicated, and equally to see where we can take this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's really an honor to be a part of this team. Speaking with Paulina, I think our visions are aligned in trying to maximize the potential of the people in our island in need. As you said about the budget, there's not enough. For us to get what we think we need to really impact the people. So I think social workers around the world, and Cayman is no different. We've had to be very, very creative. We take a little and we're always breaking those loaves and, feeding a multitude, so to speak. And so it's about empowering people, but also empowering our staff. Because I find that, we've heard about social work since before I got here. It's been around. But I find that sometimes our community don't understand exactly what it is that social workers do. And so we get labeled wrongfully, so to speak. We didn't do this, or we didn't hold this hand long enough, and so sometimes the social workers themselves find that, daunting, to be able to know that you're doing your best, and it's usually at times not seen good enough, or you hear so much negative about it. So social work is my first profession. It's my only profession. A lot of people know me for doing clinical work, and social work crosses that gamut. So there's clinical social work as well as many other aspects of it. So when I went away to school, when the government sent me to school, that's what they sent me away to do. Social
Johnny,
work.
my boy, Papa saying you don't.
So I was over there for a while, and then while I was in school, while I was away, I actually did DCFS in Florida. So I was actually working there for a while, as well as doing pedophile investigations, gerontology, which is the working with the elderly, and some abuse investigations also. So when I came back home, I kind of touched base with the department, but at that time I ended up in counseling services, and that's what kind of propelled my career here at home. So when the opportunity presented itself, a chance to really impact our people, it's not like I haven't been doing that from where the platform I've been on, but this is really a huge undertaking, something I wanted to take a chance at. And I was given the opportunity, and as I said, just to be able to understand and come in and hear the director's vision and be aligned with that makes it a whole lot easier. I think once I learned the acronyms,
I want to laugh again. Welcome aboard.
I'll be better. I can finally have my potential shine. But that acronym thing is,
it comes with and thank you for sharing that, because for those who, and I say this carefully again, but not necessarily cautiously this time, there are those of us who have the heart of a public servant. Like for me, I always know that I want to be a public servant.
Correct.
I say it as a child, whether that's elected or appointed, I don't know. There are those of us who are entrepreneurial by nature, and the only thing that drives them is money. Correct. And there are those looking for material things and other things. So we all have it. But the civil service, the public service, is a different creature. The way we do accounting, the way we do things. If I may, though, perhaps through you, Ms. Paulina as director, I certainly invite Mr. Roberts to share this compliment and having Mr. Roberts on board. The notion that we see opportunity costs. The budgetary constraints. It's always the same whether you're in the financial realm, of government trying to promote and make sure that those things are needed, or you're more on the social aspect of provision of housing and assistance and the like. But in saying that, with your appointment, Mr. Roberts, it may help more of us in the society when we look at social work and social workers and education, that unfortunately has been viewed traditionally as women.
Correct.
Right? And more of us now can say, well, you know what, this is equal opportunity, and there is a need for the male to be in the role as it is for the female. It's the love, the complementary skill sets, the attitude as well as the aptitude. Right, Ms. Paulino?
So you touched on a very valid point.
What? Again today?
The field of social work is predominantly female, and Cayman is no different. The Department of Children and Family Services is a predominantly female department. And actually, with Real coming on board, that brought us up to a complement of 6 males. And just yesterday, we hired one more male social worker. So our complement is now up to 7 out of 155 plus staff. So those mathematicians do the math in terms of the percentage.
Wow.
But rightfully so, in terms of when we talk about our work and our field and the passion, because being a social worker is not about the dollar. Definitely not. It's not a glamorous job. We don't deal with what people would consider the mushy, sweet, fabulous side of society. It is dealing with persons who are quite vulnerable at that time, dealing with very traumatic personal experiences. And for us to remain in a profession that is not compensatory driven, it speaks to the dedication and commitment of staff that we have. If we were to probably do a tally of number of years out of all the social workers that we currently have at the department, you would be looking at an experience of probably over 200 plus years. And again, when you think of 29 social workers, 200 plus years, that is a significant number of years of experience dealing with persons in their most vulnerable state. So it's definitely a profession that is passion-driven, not financially motivated. Now, don't get me wrong, I will sit here this afternoon, and strongly advocate that we do need to get paid what we deserve, because social workers, our work is never done. It's a 24, 365, 7 days a week job. Our social workers are on call. Our social workers, whilst 8:30 to 5 is the mandated required hours for working. You will see social workers, hear social workers, they're in the office on weekends doing reports. They're out doing visits, making sure that things are okay with their clients. They're out doing supervised access visits, making sure that they're able to allow children to have access to both parents. So when you think about the level of work, the amount of time that's spent, what we do get paid does warrant some reassessment in terms of looking at an increase. But at this point, don't want to really get into the money piece of it, just to say that, again, our staff are very, very dedicated. And not only do we have social workers, but we also have our adult special needs staff who take care of some of our even more vulnerable persons in the community, our elderly. And the staff, both here in Grand Cayman, that work with our residents in our caring home, they are a phenomenal group of persons, and their dedication. Now, if I was to really tally up the years that some of them, we have staff who have been there over 25 plus years, their contribution to the community and to the Cayman Islands and to the clients that they serve is totally phenomenal. And again, words can't explain or say how committed and how thankful we are to have them on our staff.
Real, from that perspective, then, when we look at the societal needs and the changing norms in our society, or when we look at the work of social work, the demands on your time, it is every day, because that client is having an issue. It could be very, very simple in terms of being solved, but it probably, from that client's perspective, a crisis. It isn't an emergency. It isn't life-threatening, but it's important to our clients. And they need to be able to reach somebody. That demand, that ever-present call on that,
I'm getting used to the phone. I think that was the first thing they gave me, another phone. I couldn't understand why until you hear it buzzing and beeping. But I think that what the director says is so important, because every social worker is working with a client who is pretty much emotionally charged. Yeah, so it's not like you're coming and things are going good and then we're having that conversation. Like, I mean, they're, whatever reason, they're emotionally charged up, you know. And I also feel like one of the things, I mean, just being around this team, you know, 150 plus women, which is... Well, there you go.
5%.
And I also, I'd like you to know that I am not the only trained social worker in government. I'm probably the only one, I think, or the one of two in the department, but I'm not the only one in government. But I'll leave that for you to find out. Because there are other social workers out there that came back, right? But
I had a couple of them in my graduating year as well.
So there's some social workers out there that, you know, didn't pick up the profession, so to speak.
But they're all women.
No, they're men.
No, the ones I thought.
Okay. No, there are men out there. Yeah. But yeah, I think that one of the biggest things that we have to do, you know, is let the public understand what a social worker is, what a social worker looks like, and what does a social worker do. Yeah. And so if I ask you, I mean, you're a little bit more learned than the person, you know, so I'm not going to... I've been around this with you for a while, so, you know. If you had to say in a nutshell what you think a social worker or who a social worker is, what would you say that is?
You know, I say answer in two ways. You know, the chief cook and bottle washer, in a sense, when it comes to that person. But the notion that they were looking at this person who is advocating for someone as they navigate a system that can not only be bureaucratic, but can become sometimes so tumultuous.
Right.
Allaying that emotionally charged environment and trying to bring the person to a reality that, yeah, you want this thing, but this is not possible, legally or otherwise. But then being a friend as well as a confidant, but being also a disciplinarian.
And that's all true. And so one of the things when you look at that as an advocate, right, we're advocating for these people. A lot of people are who some we may know, some we may not. But we're advocating. And sometimes when others come to us, they're looking at us like we should be doing.
Yeah.
You know, you ask me a question, I have to go and ask the director. Right? Now you're upset because I might have gotten no, or it takes time. It's advocation, right? And so a lot of times what's happening is I think that some people are advocating, as I said to a client the other day, is this the right place that you should be asking the question you're asking? And so just for people to understand, okay, as a social worker, you know, this is what happens at DCFS, this is what happens at other departments, because I think that once the public understands that whole system, then it'll work a little bit more efficiently. And our social workers who I'm going to advocate on behalf of, you know, because they have to work the long hours. They have to kind of find, you know, how do you break bread, you know, and feed the multitude? How do you knock the rock and take water, get water out of that rock? You know what I mean? They're doing it every single day, you know. As I said, I'm not even here a month, and I'm already faced with, you know, so sir, where do we put this person? Because, you know, what's that Friday called? The Social Work Fridays, right? Which sounded like happy hour initially until, you know, I was with the director. She go, it started. And I'm like, what started? The Social Work Fridays. I'm like, really? We're not there. You know, to find out that Social Work Fridays is, you know, the phone blowing up and people in need because here's that weekend, you know. And so you could plan a weekend. You could be a social worker who's about to take care of, you know, something personal, and this happens, you know, and the client then comes first.
If I could ask of you, and I leave it to you to guide us, partly to help to educate and inform, but to give us a better perspective. Certainly the three questions that you posed earlier, maybe we could answer them. But equally, if it's, again, Madam Director, you know, through you and your guidance, sort of the areas of service, as I call it, the service delivery and the responsibility. You're talking 150-something plus, you know, staff members. And even though I deliberately and consciously before our discussion went to look at some of the different areas of responsibility that fall on you, the different things that you do, and on a limited scale compared it to what I know of other jurisdictions and how these things are delivered by other agencies. It's all under one umbrella here. Give the public a chance to understand that, not to be defensive, apologetic, but just a reality. Because I think really your comment is, I come to the social worker, I need assistance for something. It's a genuine need, is a genuine concern, but really that should be over here. And the reason why it is, but maybe it isn't. And sometimes we don't know, and sometimes I think why A, the politician gets bombarded with some things, B, why the politician loves that because, oh, you need a street light, well, let me get that for you. Whereas, you know what, the street lighting committee is over here, so to speak. You know, and I think if we know how to access, we know where to access, we know when to access, we can be more empowered and we can take more responsibility. Not that all of us want to take on that. We rather defer and give it to somebody else. But you have a lot on. We don't defer.
No, we don't defer. But that's our problem. We should defer, but we don't.
So just going back to
respectfully, pull that mic a little bit closer to you. Would that be better? All right.
That's better.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it better, Ms. Susan?
Is it better?
Hold on. Pull it. No, just kidding. That's better.
So going back to the first question as to who are social workers or what is it that we do? Social workers are the agents of social change, and I know that is quite a very generic statement to some extent. But when you think about what it is that we do and our responsibilities in our profession, it is to bring about social change, because if we're dealing with persons who are vulnerable, the most vulnerable in our community, that we're advocating for resources or to change circumstances or to change legislation to empower these persons, then we are the agents of social change. Following on into the question as to the services that we provide from a department standpoint, and you're right, we won't defer, but we will redirect at times.
Okay.
Just to share that our services are quite vast. Historically, we did generic social work, and what that meant was that our social workers, their caseloads crossed the gamut of various specialized areas in other jurisdictions. So social workers could have had care and protection matters, foster care, adoption, elderly matters. What we have done within the last year is to approach our services from a more specialized standpoint. So we have now developed teams who have specific focuses. So we have our child protection team, which is known as MASH, the Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub, and their primary remit is to address all matters dealing with child abuse. We have our foster care and adoption team. Of course, that speaks to itself. Adoption, they deal with matters, the applicants, and placement for prospective adoptive children. We have foster care, of course, that is looking at community fostering, where we have a situation where a child or children need to be removed from their current family setting and placed in foster care. Of course, to just point out that that is always our last option when it comes to placing children. We look for family or friends first before we take them and place them in one of our facilities or in a foster parent's home. We have our elderly services team, and again, to add, this is a new team that has come online, and that team focuses, of course, on matters dealing with our elderly. We now have our elderly older persons law and the older persons policy, which is quite significant and has driven a lot of the services that we're working on implementing. Again, Real comes with specialized area of social work. He has gerontology under his belt, and that is where we specialized in working with older persons. That's what it's categorized at in social work. We also have our family services team, and that team addresses matters that come out of the courts, and it's the various courts, the Grand Court, maintenance and affiliations, any matters to do with access, custodies, family disputes in regards to the care and control of children. They address that. We also do counseling, individual and family, under that team. We also have our youth services team, and that team focuses on dealing with our young juveniles who come across the judicial system. One of the things that we are working on is developing our youth diversion program so that we can divert our young people from entering the justice system and putting into place more preventative programs to delay that ride into the justice system or to totally eliminate it. Again, if we start early, I do believe prevention is better than cure. So taking that approach is quite critical. I spoke about our adult special needs program. Again, that is services that we provide, residential care services that we provide to our elderly and our disabled adults. And we have facilities both in Grand Cayman and in Cayman Brac. We have a Department of Children and Family Services office in Cayman Brac as well. That's headed up by a social work manager. We have one social worker over there and a community development officer. Speaking of community development, that is also another arm of the services we provide. And our community development officers are the eyes and the ears of our department in the community. And they are strong advocates for change within communities, services, networking with both public and private entities so that we can mobilize communities into being more self-sufficient, empowering those communities to address any concerns or issues that they have, as well as they provide support to all the other teams that I just listed out.
And one of the things, I mean, you hear all of that, you actually realize that each one of these contacts need a report. Yep. Each one of these contacts take time. So all of a sudden, 150 plus people don't sound like a whole lot of people to take care of all three of these islands. This is it,
man. So when we come back, let's continue because I think the public sometimes don't really get a full true picture and don't appreciate some of the things. So I really appreciate this opportunity. We talk and hopefully you utilize the time as you need. Get a chance to introduce the newly appointed Deputy Director at DCFS, Mr. Real Roberts, and the good company of Director Paulina Mendoza-Williams. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
You like having options. So, Western Union is giving you another way to send a money transfer around the world with Western Union's direct-to-bank money transfer option. Visit a Western Union agent location and you could start sending money directly to qualifying bank accounts in over 60 countries. Best of all, it's for one flat transfer fee to send any amount direct to a bank account. Visit a Western Union agent location to learn more and start sending money transfers direct to bank accounts today. Western Union.
Western Union also makes money from currency exchange. When choosing a money transmitter, compare fees and exchange rates, which may vary based on a number of factors and are subject to change.
Discover your purpose. Unleash your potential with U.S. Grammy-nominated gospel singer and motivational speaker, 22-year-old Jacqueline Carr, and local youth talent at Gospel Fest 2019. Lions Center, Sunday, June 30th, 6:30 p.m. Tickets $15 pre-sold. Performing Billboard hits, You're Bigger and You Will Win. Jacqueline Carr at Gospel Fest 2019. You can't afford to miss it. Tickets available at the following outlets: Cayman Islands Conference, ABNC, ValueMed Pharmacy, Christian Enlightenment Center, Bellagio Salon and Spa, Campbell's Auto Repairs and Sales, Funky Tangs Limited, the Physiotherapy Center, Rankins Plaza, Shop number 11, Plaza Venezia, North Sound Road.
Stay up to date with the latest in healthy living and fitness trends every Saturday morning at 9:30 and Wednesday at 7 p.m. For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Most clinics in the United States, they kind of like one surgery fits all. You're saying, that's not necessary. That's not going to be the case with me. And that's good to hear.
For the Health of It is proudly brought to you by GNC. Join the GNC community and take advantage of their discount days. The first 7 business days of every month and every Wednesday. GNC. Believe in the power of nutrition.
Did you know that once properly sanitized, some tinned food items may still be safe for consumption after coming in contact with floodwater? In order to properly sanitize these tins, always remove labels, and then wash tins in a strong detergent solution using a brush to get rid of excess impurities. Tins must then be immersed in a solution made of 2 tablespoons of chlorine bleach per gallon of water for 10 minutes. Ensure that containers are air-dried before opening. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit the DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
Money Sense, bringing an informed financial perspective to the Cayman community. Brought to you by the CFA Society Cayman Islands and sponsored by One Trade X. Join Money Sense Thursday at 7:30 a.m. and email your questions to moneysense@candiwaki. That's money, SENSE @CANDW.KY. Money Sense, the only personal finance radio show in the Cayman Islands. Brought to you with the support of One Trade X.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us in the studio. The Director of the Department of Children and Family Services, Ms. Paulinda Mendoza-Williams, together with the newly appointed Deputy Director, Mr. Real Roberts. If you'd allow me, and I certainly want to be guided by you, because I think as a community we need to be ever more vigilant, ever more willing to be responsive and responsible, and as we hold others accountable, we need to be prepared to be held accountable as well.
Correct.
But to be vested and invested in our society, somebody should do something. Okay, what about the person staring back at you when you look in the mirror? Is that person willing to do something? And if so, to what extent? How can you do something? But doing something meaningful and positively so that it helps, not hinders. Because what they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right?
Yeah, but everybody should do something, not somebody.
Everybody.
Right? Everybody. So
everybody.
we need to change that to everybody should do something.
Right.
I said, I know that a lot of what this was set up was to introduce me, but as I said, I've been around social work and being in social work. I'm telling you, man, the men and women that I have the opportunity to work with every day in the last 3 weeks really need our applause, because they have done this for a period of time. You can take what has gone on in your world, your life. I actually have a friend who is dealing now with a father who used to be, when we were kids, was the most boisterous person there is, and probably a year ago had an issue along with age. And now has deteriorated rapidly. And his first intention was to try and take care of his dad at home. That became difficult, and so he had to place his dad in a home. And this is not here, but in Jamaica. And then what happened? He felt bad. He felt bad because he was like, I should do this. This is what I should do. And we have those intentions, but remember, there are people that every single day in this island, on all two islands in the homes, take care of elder persons the same way. And they can't, and technically they can't get tired. Like technically they have to, they get up and they treat them the way you want them treated. And that allows you to have the respite so that you can go out and not have to deal with it. There are social workers who guard the gates. We talk about having a unit like MASH, right, who deals with the abuse of children. That happens here. And there are social workers and policemen, but who guard that gate, so that you don't have to deal with that. So you don't have to hear that. But they have to see that every single day, every single week. They have to keep this connection going, because when we get people, these people are fragmented. It's a kaleidoscope of hope that they see in us, like there's so many broken pieces that we as a social worker have to try and figure out, how do we put this together? How do we hold it together? And you run out of gum and you run out of hands to hold it together, but you still do, and so, as I said, the men and women that take on this role, I don't think that they could ever be given enough financially to compensate them. But I believe even as a community, they could be given enough to encourage them, for us to kind of go, look, I didn't appreciate fully the gamut of what you do. I didn't understand how I could help, whether it's to be able to help you understanding housing or foster care. There's just so much that as a population, if you understand what these 150 plus people are doing, that you can see the gap where you can then help, and that's kind of what I did is, I felt that it was an opportunity for me to step into the gap. As I said, there was that gender issue of being around the department, and to be able to advocate on behalf of the social workers who are doing this work, advocate for more partnerships so that we can continue to do even better work, and then more importantly, advocate on behalf of the clients in the Cayman Islands that need this assistance. I mean, yeah, we look pretty. It's like postcard Cayman. There's that shiny, glossy piece, but there's a piece that social workers hold together, I think, every single day. This I'm probably a little bit off script, I don't know, but like they hold.
There's no script,
but they hold every day. They come to work knowing, hey, I'm not coming to work to have to see good. I'm coming to work to do good.
Right. If I may ask though, from that perspective, right? When we look at this whole notion, and really, you should, everybody should do something. Guide me, please. This notion that in our society, we're seeing, because of the aging population, we're seeing the change in societal needs, and as time goes on, maybe the demographic is going to demand accessibility, demand spaces where we can put and accommodate the elderly and infirm, the different things that make a society healthier. So not just the homes, but how do we get to our parks? Do we have public spaces that we can gather for different things, exercise, fellowship, and the like? And then with that, is it then hashtag I am social work? We're all part of this equation, Ms. Paulina?
So going back to original conversation in terms of can we do it or are we doing it alone? The Department of Children and Family Services cannot do it alone. It is a partnership. It is a public-private partnership. And in terms of eliminating or diminishing those areas of social concern, abuse of children, abuse of the elderly, domestic violence, the whole youth who are involved with the judiciary, the whole 9 yards that paint a very big picture. When we come to the table as a department, we work with partner agencies, both private and public, but also as a civil citizen and civil society, it is also an individual's responsibility to contribute to ensure that these issues that we are tackling, they also step up, step in, and make a valid contribution. We talk about being a Christian society and holding our Christian values very near and dear to our hearts. Well, part of it does speak to are you your brother's keeper? Well, yes, you are your brother's keeper. And we also talk about it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a child and also care for our elderly. So when we spout all of those nice little phrases, is our money really where our mouth is? And in doing so, are we partnering? Are we stepping up to the plate? And I would dare to say that, yes, to some extent. Can we do more? Yes. Are there more partnerships that we would like to see? Absolutely. And it doesn't always come in the form of money, but sometimes just spending time with that child whose mom or dad has to work late hours, and that's a latchkey child, and they're next door till 7 o'clock in the evening by themselves. Am I opening my home to welcome them in to say, come and sit with me? I'll take care of you until your mom and dad comes home. Or is it that elderly person that we see trying to get to the supermarket on the weekend? Are we passing them by? Or do we stop in to say, well, Miss Jane, you want to get a ride to the supermarket, or I can go buy your groceries this weekend? I mean, something as simple as that. And the trickle down, the trickled up, I wouldn't say trickle down, the trickle up effect. If each person did that random act of kindness and also showing concern, I am sure that our society today would be obviously a much better place. And some of the things that we have been talking from a department standpoint is when we're going out there to talk about some of these issues that we see, it's also about promoting how we can do things better. Because everybody, or some, I wouldn't say everybody, we know what the issues are, but are we talking about the solutions? And I truly believe that a change in mindset is very important. We need to be more solution focused. We need to be talking about how do we stop these things? How do we prevent these things from happening? How do we prevent the elderly from suffering the abuse and neglect? The same for children. How do we care for our mentally ill persons? All of those, it's a conversation that takes when it comes to government, it's across ministries, because it's not a Ministry of Community Affairs / Department of Children and Family Services. It's not just a Ministry of Health. It is all of the ministries, all of our politicians sitting down at the table and recognizing that this is where there's a trickle-down effect, that if we don't recognize our social issues and what the impact it is that it will have on our society, we're going to be looking down a very dark tunnel.
All right. If I could be so inclined to ask us when we come back to talk about that, because this change in mindset and this notion, a couple of things maybe I'll ask of you, see where it takes us, and hopefully engender some conversation not only today but amongst all of us, not just the policymaker but that potential elector as well. When we come back, we'll talk today.
From happy beginnings to happy ever after,
Brit K protects your lifestyle with the best insurance cover at the best possible price.
Health insurance with far-reaching benefits.
95% of claims settled in 5 days.
Low-cost life insurance.
And investments.
Security in retirement.
With a custodian pension plan.
For happy beginnings and a happy ever after,
visit BritK.ky or call 949-8699.
Brit K, where people come first.
Wow, it seems I buy a battery every year.
Oh, for real? You should buy your car battery from Vantman. Their batteries are tough. I have a 3-year warranty on mine.
Oh, I know that trick. I take it back and they charge me a percentage of the price.
Hear me out, bro. Not at Vamp Bobo. You can get a 3-year full warranty, no charge. And if they install it at Vamp, it includes free towing and jumping service. And let me tell you, you will never have to get your hands dirty changing no battery.
Get Motorcraft Max or Plus battery for 20% off when it's installed by the service department at Vamp Motors on Walkers Road. Now that's a deal you can get charged up about. Vamp Motors, keeping you on the road.
Extended through June.
Excuse me, I noticed you from afar.
Really? Me?
Well, not you. The KFC sandwich you're eating?
Oh, Zinger.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, it's called the Zinger Sandwich. Crunchy, juicy, 100% chicken breast, crisp lettuce, sweet mayo on a seeded bun with a little zing. KFC's chicken is not factory-breaded, frozen and refried like the Burger Boys. Customize your KFC Zinger and dip it in barbecue sauce.
Wow, now I'm starting to notice you too.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Across the Caribbean, our competitors have built piers that give cruise ship passengers a better arrival and departure experience. How can we expect to compete if we don't meet passengers' expectations?
Looking forward, looking bright.
Learn more and spread the word.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. A few minutes more of a good conversation with both the director of DCFS and the newly appointed deputy director. So we have, Ms. Paulina Mendoza-Williams together with her deputy, Mr. Real Roberts. And then 2 o'clock, the headline news. And then after that, some open line to sort of take us through for the rest of the show. I'm really grateful for not just your willingness to share with us, but the very honest, forthright, candid, way you're sharing things with us. Because if I have a community, we don't understand the need to be invested in something and how this thing affects us and how we affect this thing. We can't be our brother's keeper. We can't move. A couple of things, though, and not necessarily asking for your response, no, but certainly not a rhetorical question by any means, but more for us as a people. We talk about being a Christian nation. Statistically, probably no longer a Christian nation from the perspective of the numbers who live and work here and the like. Agnostic, atheist, maybe something else. but there's a strong Christian ethos that even those who don't subscribe to the faith at least had a semblance of respect, because those who practice and profess showed a sense of civility, accommodation, and the like. And then secondly, this change in mindset that we reference. Mr. Roberts, you talked about the postcard image, that glossy thing. How many of us actually acknowledge that, there are those who live not too far away from where we live who are struggling in every which way? Those who may seem okay, but there's only a facade because they're struggling, but boy, they're doing their best to make it look good.
Correct.
And we don't take it on board.
Of course not. I mean,
Just go back a little bit further from that, Mike.
Oh, sorry.
Because you look so powerful, man. That's real Roberts.
That's good. Y'all ain't gonna get new mics.
I tell you what.
Last time. But no, I think that it's like how we say good morning to people and know it to say, hear what their response is, or how are you, and you keep moving. I think in our society, there's a lot of people hurting. We talk about finances, and I shouldn't even be talking about this guy. I'm really not versed, but the shrinking of our middle class, so to speak, right? And so there are people who look like us that are struggling and struggling fancy. So they're not. So struggle doesn't mean dirty, and they are in need of services. Some of it is a conversation, some of it is some sort of respite, and so I think, as a society, we need to understand that not everything is the tourism and the banking glim and glamour, and that's what the world sees, and that's what we promote, and rightfully so, because we want to, have people come and invest. But there's another side of that, and that is a side where social workers live, breathe, and have their jobs.
If I may ask, again, just to engender some meaningful discourse amongst our populace, right? Not so much even now and amongst us here at the table, we will say publicly, or those people referring to some who are perceived to be on a lower socioeconomic, scale, who come here on a work permit, who are living 5 or 15 to a house and whichever. But we may not see those who may come from first world nations, who are living 3 and 4, and they're working in the professional organizations as accountants or service personnel or some other professional designation, who are also living 3 and 4 to a house in order to be able to live here, to save, to make the same sort of financial benefit than those who are maybe making $1,000 for the month, living 10 and 15. The same thing existing in the two different sort of economic brackets, but because of the same consequences, they can't achieve their economic goals because of other considerations. Yes, Paulina?
But I think one of the things that we need to be very clear about is that social issues transcends race, class, gender, ethnicity, nationality, socioeconomic status. Because when the things that we see in our department, when you're talking about child abuse, domestic violence, elderly abuse, or youth who come in through the justice system, the family matters that we have to deal with, it doesn't matter. It's Caymanian, non-Caymanian, rich, poor, middle class, Christian, non-Christian. As social workers and as a department, whose responsibility is to address these issues and these concerns. Having signed on to our code of ethics, we have to be non-judgmental, non-discriminatory, impartial to how we address these matters. So our standard of practice and professionalism dictates that no matter who comes through the doors of the department, we will treat each person fairly. And of course, we're speaking about that customer service that the DG has been promoting now in his strategic plan, is that we give world-class customer service. And by doing so, we treat everyone fairly, non-discriminatory, and provide them with best practice services as our profession dictates. So in terms of whether your need is financial or you come from a different region, whatever it is, we are obligated as professions to address your needs individually, uniquely, and just provide the best service possible. But also just looking at you draw in terms of the socioeconomic standpoint, again, persons come with their own needs and their own concerns from whatever jurisdiction they come from, whatever nationality they are, or ethnic background, religion, or whatever. Again, speaking to the fact that we being a Christian society and probably has diversified quite a bit with the influx of the various nationalities coming in. I think one of the things that really transcends all of that, Dwayne, is that whilst the Bible talks about being your brother's keeper, the saying, it takes a village to raise a child and to care for the elderly, I think that is a global, that is a universal statement. So it doesn't matter, whether I'm Muslim and you're Christian, and you're Hindu, and we live next to each other. There's just something innately human about being a human and caring for the next person that you see that's going through struggles.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't see it. One of our listeners just messaged and said, "Congrats to these two lovely qualified persons. I hope others will aspire to be qualified to join you." And I'm hoping that as we look at our society, we can see the changes globally, but certainly if we just look internally, that there are going to be demands on not just government sort of resources, but demands from the populace because of the aging demographic. How do we access buildings, for instance? We start to recognize that. But equally, how do we show the deference to our elders? How do we come to acknowledge that this gloss, this postcard image, that underneath there are abuses of children and elders of different people, that maybe some of our systems, even though they're not intended to contribute to the abuse, as it were, maybe they need to be reformed. But more of us need to become qualified to serve the needs of our community. And you listed out, probably the different areas of service. I'm conscious of some of them. Probably couldn't repeat them all. Probably couldn't repeat, 4 of them, right? But that's only because I've consciously made an effort to understand how wide and varied this thing is, and how other jurisdictions have, sort of other things that can be deployed. We have it all under one umbrella. And Mr. Roberts, the two of you at the helm, all the best.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think we've taken on this challenge. I know I've taken on the challenge, and I said I've spoken to the director, and I know that she definitely has taken on this challenge, being in the department for a number of years. And it's just a matter of allowing or encouraging and empowering the public to also take on the challenge, so that it's not just what can government do for me, but what can you do? As I said to you earlier, maybe you have availability to resources that the department could use. Maybe you could be a part of the respite program. Maybe you have a home that you could help. I'm saying, Social Work Fridays are real, and Thursdays and Tuesdays are real, and it's
a
nothing.
Weekends worse.
It's so weird when someone calls you and says, "Hey, we have this person, and we need to find somewhere for them to live," right? That in itself sounds like a very simple statement, right? Yeah. And I'm like, well, why don't you go here? Why don't you go there? Well, this is full, or we've gone there, or and you start to hear all the roadblocks, and you're like, okay, now what we do? And you, and then the social worker sits down, and probably about 20 minutes later, they write you back with a solution. Yeah, this is what we're going to do. And I'm telling you, it is very, very, very impressive.
Can I ask then, for us to understand? Social work, there's a degree, there's a training, there's a skill set, there's a mindset. But as I keep saying to people, as you look at careers, so you may be interested in law or accounting or some other professional calling, but could you become qualified in that area and still translate that into being impactful in the sphere of social work?
Yes. But there's social work in every area, right? Yeah, you got social work that deal with just legal. You got social workers that do with therapy and counseling. You got social work that do with the frontline stuff, like a lot of these social work in the homes. You have therapeutic social work. Help me out here.
Medical
social work.
You have Department of Community Rehabilitation. Yeah. They employ social work persons with social work degrees. You can do a lot with a social work.
The UN advocacy social work. It depends on.
Something that
I like to embarrass our cabinet secretary, Samuel Rose. Has a social work degree.
Go right ahead.
Yes. So again, and when we talk about that, our chief officer Teresa Echenike she has a social work degree. So again, and particularly for young people out there, we need to do more in promoting and sharing what it is that we do as social workers, what the profession is about. And it's not necessarily that you will be frontline social workers. It can take you into diverse areas of being a social advocate, invoking change. When I was in college, I know that one of the areas that we had clinical social work and policy social work, and we were able to determine which area we wanted to specialize in. And again, I am sure that's something that's still on the books as our young people go away to college and to determine what degree they want to get in life. But also to share, and you made a comment in terms of and thanks to you, the person who contacted via WhatsApp, just sharing and to say thank you for those words of encouragement. But again, one of the things that I have told myself as God placed me in this role as director of the Department of Children and Family Services, one of my goals is to ensure that whenever I vacate the seat, there will be no doubt about us having a suitable person within the department, Caymanian, to take up my role as director. The challenge will be who out of our Caymanians who are in the department will be able to sit in this seat. So again, just being able to encourage our young people to be able to choose, professions that you want to go into and that you have a passion for, but that the role of social work and the profession of social work doesn't limit you to just dealing with the most vulnerable in our society.
And thank you, just for coming on, but for reminding us and recognizing that as parents, as teachers, we have to guide and nurture our children or students into the career field. So you can still pursue these things that you think you want to do and still apply it to the area of, broadly speaking, social work. I'm becoming increasingly aware that larger organizations have what was traditionally the personnel department or HR or whatever. Those things are being changed in name and scope because of the needs of their employees and the social work within a corporate private sector setting. I hope that you, Ms. Paulino.
I know that we are on a time crunch, but before we go, just to again say thank you for the opportunity to come in and share on your show today, but also just to say a very big shout out to the staff and the team down at DCFS, also to acknowledge that we just concluded Child Month, and I just want to say to my staff, a job well done. We had a jam-packed month of May of activities, and they definitely showed up and showed out, and we just want to say thank you to our staff for doing a fantastic job. Thank you to the ministry, our chief officer, for the support, and we're looking forward to Older Persons Month, which is in October, and it may seem a little ways down the line, but we've already started planning. And in terms of the same conversation that Rail shared earlier about what is it that I can do from civil society, from being in the community, please, we welcome you to come on board, whether it's assisting, volunteering time, in-kind, cash, donations, whatever it is for Older Persons Month. But throughout the year, please feel free to contact the department to just inquire or just to say how you would like to be a part and to contribute to changing the dynamics of social concerns in the Cayman Islands.
And if you see a social worker, just show some appreciation to them. As I said, they really work hard out there.
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you all very much. Congrats again, and thank you for sharing. Well, after the news break, some open line. And if you feel that I need a little love, well, share it. 949-8037. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
the anticipated Flowers 1 Mile Sea Swim is this weekend. As the event swims into its 27th year this Saturday, June 15th, swim enthusiasts are invited to participate in what has come to be considered a must-do event for open water fanatics and has been named one of the world's top 13 open water swims. The race is the world's richest open water event with over $100,000 in cash and random prizes. This year, all registration proceeds will be donated to the Special Olympics Cayman Islands. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. An Indian businessman has been jailed for life after planting a fake hijacking letter in the toilet of a Jet Airways flight from Delhi to Mumbai. Burju Sala said he had hoped the air carrier would close its Delhi operations and his girlfriend, a Jet Airways air stewardess, would have to move to live with him in Mumbai. He was also fined 50 million rupees. Facebook has said it will not remove a manipulated video of its chief, Mark Zuckerberg, from Instagram, in which he appears to credit a secretive organization for his success. The clip is a deepfake made by Al Software that uses photos of a person to create a video of them in action. And Hawaii has ditched a product launched for the first time since the U.S. placed it on a trade blacklist. It was reported that the Chinese tech firm had intended to unveil a new laptop as early as this week. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
It's time to stop giving dads tools and ties for Father's Day. Dads want to relax just as much as you. Get the ultimate chillaxing beach kit for Father's Day at Savannah Pharmacy. Beach shorts, shirts, flip-flops, water shoes, goggles, towels, and sunblock. Let Dad kick back and relax this Father's Day. Gift baskets, including domino sets, coffee mugs, and so much more, are also available. Get all of your Father's Day purchases at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village or call 946-3336.
I love my daddy, yes sirree.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, and welcome back to Talk Today. Let's have some open line for the remainder of the program, 949-8037 or 949-6990. And if you were able to join us for our discussions thus far, thank you for sharing. Certainly appreciate you listening along and as we contribute. And as you were just concluding our discussion with Ms. Paulina Mendoza-Williams and Mr. Real Roberts, the Director and Deputy, respectively, over at the Department of Children and Family Services. The closing thoughts is that if as you, a parent or educator or other influential person in a young person's life, as they look at possible careers in areas of study, it's always important for us to appreciate that we can pursue, other avenues, whether it's law or accounting or the other areas that we think we want to go, and still serve in the capacity as social workers. As Mr. Roberts shared, everybody should do something. And as our students consider possible careers, perhaps they may answer that call in to get into the field, to work in our social sciences and the like. But in any event, there are ways we can contribute, just like being supportive. If you're a man, 100 men; if you're a woman, 100 women, and giving of your time, your talent, your treasure, and assisting collectively through your individual contribution to the greater good. Now, likewise, if you're an organization like the Cancer Society, if you are, a corporate citizen like Health City, for instance, and there are others, thankfully, in our society who can support other worthy causes. Now, a quick question I want to ask of you. This was a conversation I had with some individuals, again, recently, and this idea that in our society, in the Cayman Islands in which we live and work and have our being, as it were, that it's becoming increasingly difficult for people to remain positive despite all the wonderful things here, for people to live and survive because of the increasing costs and challenges and the other things that are behind the scenes that serve to hinder, to hamper, to impede a person's success and progress and the like. They're probably true. Now, some of us are very, very positive by nature. You just step into that person's presence and you leave enthusiastic and encouraged. You feel nurtured. You feel that, there's a sense of hope. And then there are some of us, unfortunately, we're very negative and condescending, and we'll do anything and everything to hinder and harm others. Now, which category in our society do you think there are more? Are those who are the positive, nurturing ones, or the other category? And if we find ourselves in one category, do you think we can, if it's the positive one, encourage others and exert more influence? If we're in the negative category, do you think we can assess and analyze why that is? Is it that we've been spurned so often, we're just so bitter, we just been hurt that we're not able to even see beyond that? Now, I would like to think that even if there's one person, who is so negative and vitriolic, that one person can be so, detrimental and destructive to others, even that one person. Think about it. You're making the best souffle, and you've got dozens of eggs because you're making it for, a big batch, as it were. That one egg that is a little off, going to spoil that whole, process. What I say, one rotten apple spoils the bunch. But why is it then that there are 100 or 99 of the 100 people are positive, that despite the overwhelming majority, they seem to be unable or unwilling to gel, to make it better for everybody else? That one always seems to, be the bad influence. I wonder why. 949-837, 949-6990. Got a call, Miss Susan? As we invite you to call and share your thoughts with us. 949-837 or 949-6990. Of course, the toll-free line is there for you, 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts with us as well. 949-837 or 1-800-534-8255. The perhaps most striking thing that has occurred to us recently is this notion that so many of us have increasingly become dependent on others. This idea that we no longer seem to have the confidence, the conviction, not just that we believe in ourselves, but we're not quite sure. Maybe because we've been beat down so much. Can we do this? Can we do this by ourselves? Can we draw alongside somebody else to help us? Partly because they're not there and are available and not willing to help. So we sort of defer to government, expect the government to do this thing. Now, let's go to our phones. Welcome. You're on Talk Today. Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, dear.
Hey, how are you today, man? Thank you for calling. Yes, hello? Okay.
Williams, and Yeah, another gentleman there too, right?
Yeah, we had, they've just now left, but it was Paulinda Mendoza-Williams and Real Roberts from DCFS, the director and deputy respectively.
Oh, they left already?
Yeah, they left at the hour.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I really need to speak to them, so
mm-hmm.
guess I'll have another chance of speaking to them probably later on.
Yeah, we much expect to have them on increasingly in different capacities, but if you were able to send an email through to them, or if you have need for us to help connect, we touch base with us off air if that's preference, and we'll be happy just to make the introduction to facilitate that, and then you can deal directly.
Okay, thank you, Dwayne.
Yeah, man. Take it easy too, all right? All right. Let's try the other line. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Pretty good. I was listening to what you were saying there a few minutes ago. Sterling, it just bleeds my heart when my second job takes me in various locations throughout this island. And for an island that is so advanced and so rich in taste and so rich in a lot of investors coming here to invest in this island. And then we got the politician who goes up every 4 years and walk the ground and talk to the people to encourage them in regards to voting for them. But Sterling, when I drive through the neighborhoods of this island to do one of my jobs that I so do and I love, and I see how people are living. Sterling, I don't want to disrespect anyone here in this island, but I believe, and from what I see, we got some third world living in this little island we call the Cayman Island. I met a gentleman last weekend from the airport to industrial area. His words was, he heard the economy is great and things is looking good for the Cayman Island. Sterling, I didn't know how to even answer him, but I paused for a few minutes, and a few seconds I would say, and I say, sir, the economy is growing for some people, but believe me, not all. Not all. And Sterling is not the first one that gets off of the planes here and say the Cayman is, booming here and booming there and life should be great here and so forth. Sure, it should be, but it ain't. Because Sterling, I gotta tell you, I'm going to say, if I'm wrong, someone can call and correct me. The average Caymanian is suffering big time. And Sterling, we got places here that's being rented, and they got people coming here to rent, to work in this island. And the places and the condition that they are renting, just to say that they're living here in the Cayman Island, because the dollar is stronger. That's the only reason why. Because the dollar is stronger for their country. No disrespect to anyone up there. I just got to speak it how I see it and feel it. But to say you're going to leave your country and come and live the way you live in Cayman just to make that dollar that is stronger to practically another dollar in the world. Sterling, I just want to say today, the few Caymanians that we got left, they shouldn't be living in the condition that they are living in. I don't want to call the name of the streets that I visited us recently. But Sterling, something needs to be done when it comes to us not being in that third world to live and to make Cayman become a rundown because of the average paper Caymanian or Caymanian who live here cannot maintain their homes, the yards, and so forth, and to maintain the senior citizens and the children, which is so precious to us. I don't know where we're going. I can't see much of anything positive and in the future to extend for the people that call themselves Caymanians that live in here and just sitting down and taking the less of the less. Got to get up and say, you know what, enough is enough. I need to live better than this. I need to enjoy this island that everybody's paying to come here, to go sit on our beaches, to live in our fancy hotels and condos and whatever else they want to call it. They can go to the grocery store and have the cart running over, knowing the dollar's only 80 cents to the Cayman dollar, but yet the carts are running over. Darling, I know there's some people out here, when they see that, I know they get ticklish and upset. So I just want to say to my Cayman people, if you want a piece of the pie, you got to come out of your shell and stand up. You don't have to fight nobody. You don't have to pull nobody blood. But just put your foot down and say, you know what? Enough is enough. I need a piece of this too. And sterling is enough to share. It's just that some is so greedy, they are cutting off as much as they can take, and to heck with the rest of people who may need something. And I'm going to say to the government this afternoon, we need to look in to helping our own Caymanians. And when I say helping our own Caymanians, I'm not coming to hand out. Darling, if I am working and I can't meet my bills, and I go to the government and say, well, you know, I need, my bills is this. And I'm drinking, and I'm smoking, I ain't doing no nails, no toenails, and no hair, and no fancy car. I'm just trying to live normal. And if my paycheck is to $1,700 a month, and my bill is $2,000 a month, and I'm not doing all those things that I mean to you, I deserve a couple of $100 to meet up with my bills that don't include those things that I say that I'm not looking for no help from nobody. You know?
Mm-hmm.
We got some people who live extravagant, but that's beside the point. We got too many hurting. Too many Caymanians are hurting. And Caymanians need to get up and say, you know, the election is coming next 2 years. We got to make better choices. And we got to say, you know what? This is what we need.
Right.
We got investors coming here. I know the investors coming here. They're injecting into Cayman, but who are injecting for? When they come here to inject, whoever it takes to say, you know what? You want to come invest in my island? Well, I need 8 homes built. Just basic homes that people have already have their property. I need my senior citizens up to park. I need my education system up to park with my children. You got to come and live in my country and invest millions and millions of dollars. I want you to put this on your desk and tell me what you can do for my people, and then I would consider you investing into my country, because my people that help build this country, they are sliding through the cracks, and I need to help bring them back up. And why they slide through the cracks is because of cheap labor, and I forgot them. Me, the people of the government, past, present, and future coming, I have forgotten the people. I need to take them back.
Mm-hmm.
They are in need. They are desperate for work. They are desperate to survive.
Hey, thank you, Mom. Thank you, and respectfully, just ask you to, let us pick up on that another time. Final break. We'll come back. A couple of more calls. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Fathers all around the world are ready for Father's Day. What they're not ready for is more socks. Show Dad a whole lot of love this Father's Day with the Galaxy S9 or S9 Plus from Flow and get $150 off the price. Give the big man the headset he deserves to upload, download, message, and stay connected in style from Flow. And save, because this Father's Day, socks just won't cut it. See in store for full details. Terms and conditions apply. Celebrate Dad this Father's Day with Flow.
Don't forget to tune in every Monday through Friday for the 7 a.m. news, brought to you by Cayman National Bank, proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
Always separate debris from household garbage after a hurricane hits. Debris includes roofing materials, downed tree branches, and metals. All items of debris must be placed in separate piles to the front of the property or at a side that is easily accessible to collection trucks. Debris must be placed in a location that will not cause obstruction to roadways or come in contact with electrical lines. For more post-hurricane waste management tips, visit the DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you so much for sharing with us. A few more minutes of open line. Let's go straight to our phones. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hello.
Hey, how are you today, man?
Yeah, it's only good, man. Good afternoon, man.
Good afternoon to you, man.
Hard working, nice thing.
I know.
You can't complain, man. But this one, you're aware, there's a petition circulating in the block. My uncle Elvis Medieval.
To legalize cannabis?
Actually, decriminalize.
Right? Okay, yeah, I keep wondering if that's just semantics, but yeah.
Yeah, but this one, Sterling, you get a minute now, because I'm a water break. The whole point of it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is an intriguing petition now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole era now, right? The whole world, right? She's spinning the axle now, right? The whole elements, consider terror, right? Process over substance now.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me, right? And this cause, though, it's a adrenaline cause, like I tell you, enticing, right? Whatever the adequate receptacle of it is, or how it parlays, or replicate, Sterling, serenity, harmony, right? Eventually, currencies, right? Finance, right? But I'm glad we wake up now, it's about a coffee brewing.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Because that petition now, that's a flourish, believe me. But people's lives were damp and ruined for petty things. We're in the police state now. You understand? For a long time, that should have been in place, stamp, and seal, deliver. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad now, wake up now, okay, man, it's no time with this. And I appreciate my uncle doing it too. Right? Rather than mine. And I back them full 100. I endorse them, right?
Yeah, man.
Right? And I know, sir, this petition, it will entice all the voters too, new voters. Because I know people that are older than me, that have voted life, they have good jobs, right? Despite how much they wage, right? Or they desire salary.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? This will entice them to vote too. You know what I tell you?
Right.
Yeah, so that's my contribution today.
But thank you, man. Thank you. You always make good comments, and I appreciate you sharing when you can. Stay hydrated, my friend. All right? And as he's shared, it is getting hotter every day. Not just politically, but actually, when you look at the climate, it is hot outside. So if you don't mind, be a little careful, drink sufficient and appropriate fluids. Doesn't even matter if you're outside working in the hot sun, as they say. You could be inside in air-conditioned comfort. You get adequate and proper hydration to keep your body, and your brain, your heart, your function, and everything going well. Now, the caller prior to the break, she always makes an invaluable contribution. Always great to hear from her. And as she was sharing, elections are 2 years away. The caller off air during the break suggested, let's not wait for an election. Let us wait for the government or for the politicians or for the others. Let's see what we can do. As I understand what the caller was sharing, we can do it. It may be that the politician is going in a direction that needs a little support. Maybe they need a little guidance and direction. Don't leave it for the people that we think pulling the strings. Maybe we too can help to navigate and chart those waters. What can we do? Perhaps waiting until the next election, or until the next government, or until our government may be too late. Maybe waiting until the horse is bolted, before we try closing the gate, or waiting until we get. Perhaps we don't wait. Maybe we work together. And thank all those who volunteer, who assist. But let's hold each other accountable. Let's be responsible in our actions and endeavors, and let's see if we can work together for the greater good. Now, tomorrow evening, the Sunrise Adult Training Center is going to present The Lion King. It's going to be over at the Harkwell Theatre. It's going to be at 6 p.m. It's only a $5 charge. You can bring your children under free of charge if you want. And let's be supportive of them. Gates open at 6, curtain's going to go up at 7. There's a lot on tomorrow evening. I'll tell you honestly, there's a lot on every evening sometimes, but perhaps let's go enjoy it and be supportive and encourage it. Now, I almost feel like today is Friday and Monday's a holiday, but that was last week. So I know it is busy. We invite you to come back tomorrow for more talk today, right after the midday news and midday meditation. We want you to be a very informed and involved part of this democracy. And we want you to be civil and respectful, but don't shy away from our responsibilities. And certainly don't be unwilling to spend time in research and to speak, as we need to, certainly to inform and to encourage. Now, Susan is standing by. Certainly listen to all the good songs she's going to share with us. And if you have a little vote of thanks or a word of encouragement or a request that you want to hear, you can WhatsApp it, 925-3261. You can call her and say, hey, can you play this song? Who knows, It's all for you, and because of you, why Radio Cayman is here. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.